Hello my spooky children, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Anubis, who was the first ever deity that I ever worked with, and sharing some information with you guys about my connection with Anubis. Anubis is the Egyptian god of the dead. He is depicted as a man with the head of a jackal. He is often associated with the care of the dead in the early dynasty period. He then later became the conductor of souls when he was overshadowed by Osiris. He is also the god of funeral rites, protector of graves, and is a guide to the underworld. His job was to weigh the hearts of the dead in the heart-weighing ceremony. The heart-weighing ceremony was a ceremony that involved weighing the hearts of the dead against a feather on a weighing scale. If the scales balanced, then the soul of the dead person would be allowed to enter the afterlife. Anubis is one of the most frequently mentioned and depicted gods in the Egyptian pantheon / Nectaru, which is just another word for the Egyptian pantheon. However, there is no known relevant myth about him. Anubis's black colour symbolised regeneration, life, the soil of the river Nile. Anubis also has a daughter who is a snake goddess named, and I'm so sorry if Anubis, if I butcher her name, Kebetcha. Anubis was often associated with mummification, also known as embalming. The priests that often took part in embalming were known as embalmers. Anubis was the original embalmer and inventor of mummification. When Osiris was murdered by his brother Set, Anubis mummified Osiris, who was the first person to be mummified. Isis, who is the wife of Osiris, gave Osiris's organs to Anubis in a set of jars as a gift. It was after this process that Anubis became the god of embalmers. He was also known as he who watches over the god's booth. Booth meaning the place where embalming was carried out, or was the pharaoh's burial chamber. During the rites of mummification in the Book of the Dead, there are illustrations that often show a priest wearing a wolf mask supporting a mummy upright. So that's some little Anubis facts for you. I'm now going to be sharing my personal story of my experience with Anubis. So it's actually a little bit weird to call Anubis by his name Anubis, because I have a kind of father-daughter connection with Anubis, and I usually call him my Baba, which is an Arabic word for dad. Anubis can also be known as Anput, which is his original Kemet name. Anubis is actually his Greek name. But yeah, when I first started seeing signs of my Baba, it was kind of strange. I had my spiritual awakening when I was 19, and it wasn't long after that I started seeing signs of him, but at the time I didn't really know much about paganism or deities or spirituality or anything like that. I was raised as a Christian. I wasn't raised pagan by any means, and my mum, she was like a proper ranger's wife, and there's a lot of like religious ideas that I've had to kind of train myself out of knowing and kind of learning to open up to these kind of things. I kind of knew, like, since I was quite young, that Christianity wasn't the path for me, and it just wasn't what I wanted to do. Like, I remember actually me and my friends actually used to plug going to the church services at Easter and at Christmas because we didn't want to go because it wasn't what we believed in. And one thing that I'll say and continue to say to this day is that I don't think going to church should be a mandatory thing in schools anymore. I just think that's really old fashioned. I think kids should choose whether or not they want to go to the church service if it's something that they believe in, because Christianity is a belief system like any religion, right? It's beliefs, and if you don't believe in something you shouldn't be made to follow it. And I think most kids nowadays, if it was a choice, they probably wouldn't even go to the church service because there's a very big rise in paganism and spirituality. A lot of people kind of are waking up to like the bullshit that the church is putting out there, and they're not want to go to the church anymore. People like are learning about the history of the church and how they killed like hundreds of women during the Salem witch trials, and learning about all the pagans that were murdered and bullied into becoming Christians so that the church could gain power, and how the Bible was being manipulated in order for the church to gain power, and how the Bible is like 99% fiction. People are seeing that and they're turning to the religion of their ancestors, which is what I am doing now, talking about Anubis. But yeah, so it was like I didn't know anything about paganism or Kemetism or anything like that. So when I started seeing the signs of Anubis, I was very confused, a little bit overwhelmed, and I didn't really know what was going on. I actually was wondering if I was losing my mind. Cause like I was having dreams about this Anubis, and I'm clairvoyant, so I've got the ability to see spirits. So I actually seen a shadow figure in my house once, and it was a man with a jackal head, and and I just knew that something was up, but obviously I didn't know nothing about any of this, so I thought help from someone that had a bit more knowledge with the spiritual world. And it was during a reading actually that I found out that it was my Baba, Anubis, and that he was reaching out with me and he wanted me to work with him. And at first I wasn't sure because of all the religious dogmas that had been placed in my head and basically being brainwashed by the Christian church but not want to be a Christian. So I decided to connect with him, but because my mum is like a really hardcore Christian, I decided to start worshipping him in secret, and he knew that I wasn't experienced in this stuff, but he was just glad to know that I was open enough to work with him. So I kind of, one of the ways that you can connect to deities is you can either write them a letter and place it on the altar that you made for them. You can write them a letter, just write them like a letter addressed to them, dear, well I call him Baba, my Baba, but you could call him Anubis, and then you can burn it with a lighter. The first time I ever wrote to him, that is what I did. Or you can try and talk to them through meditation as well. You could invoke that deity, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. A lot of people that make YouTube videos and claim to have invoked spirits are talking out their arse. Yeah, you need to be really experienced to be able to invoke a spirit, and I'm not initiated, so I wouldn't do that. If you're not initiated, I wouldn't recommend invoking a spirit, especially a really powerful deity. Or you can also light a candle and talk to them and say, dear Anubis, I feel kind of connected to you. Is this you reaching out to me? And if the candle just doesn't do anything, then that's a no. Or if the candle starts to flicker, then that's a yes. Another way to connect with deities is divination, so tarot, pendulum readings. You could buy a Ouija board, but I would not recommend that either. Just because I have had really bad experiences with a Ouija board. I personally didn't use the board, but a group of friends of mine played a Ouija board in my garden when I was on holiday without my consent, and then for some reason the entity that they had summoned targeted me, probably because I'm clairvoyant and I'm an empath and I seem to be a magnet to horrible things. So I wrote a letter and then I burnt it with a lighter, and I just kind of explained to my Baba that my mum's a hardcore Christian and I can worship you, but it will need to be in secret for my own safety. I need to put my safety first, and that one day if I get my own place I will be able to make like a full blown altar for you, but I don't know when that would be. And he has been very patient with me. My circumstances haven't been great the past few years, but I'm working on a plan to improve my financial circumstances, and yeah, he's been very patient with me, so have all the deities that I worked with actually. But yeah, sometimes you don't really need an altar or all that, like what all the people on YouTube claim. Sometimes just showing your devotion to a deity is enough. I did eventually create a sort of altar. I've got a little box that I keep hidden under my bed, and I call it my altar box or deity box, and it's got like their names written in it and offerings inside it, and just little artsy things that I've done with them, and the deities are like, this is a very unique thing to do. We haven't seen this before. We love it though, and we love your offerings. Your offerings are very unique and fun, and they just love it. So I'm just sticking to the deity box, and then maybe when I move out I can actually start doing like a proper altar. I do have like a Anubis item that I've bought out of a charity shop, because I used to volunteer at a charity shop, and I got it for like 30% off because I was staff, but I don't work there anymore because everyone that was nice left, and then all the people that replaced them were really horrible, and then it eventually just turned into quite a toxic environment, and I had to put my mental health first, so I left. But yeah, that was how I started working with Anubis. So I'm now going to be talking about signs of Anubis, because I have a feeling if you're watching this, maybe you might feel connected to him in some way, or you're just interested in Egyptology, or you're interested in like the divine. So some signs of Anubis is seeing black dogs everywhere, leopards, jackals. You could be literally seeing him in your flat, like what I did. Seeing him just everywhere in signs and pictures and posters on the telly. You could be literally seeing his name everywhere. I know I did. You could just be seeing like random things from like ancient Egyptian culture everywhere. You could be hearing his name randomly in conversations or on the radio or something like that. You could be seeing pyramids everywhere, or Egyptian temples, Egyptian arts. Maybe you've got videos of him appearing on your timeline. Having him appear on your dreams, that's happened to me. He's just randomly popped in on my dreams. Having maybe visions of Anubis. So when this has happened before with certain deities, I'll just be sitting eating my dinner, and then next thing you know, they're appearing to me in this crazy mad vision. That's happened. Maybe just randomly having folk talk about graveyards as well as another sign, or graveyards randomly appearing on your timeline even though you don't watch that kind of content. Seeing the ink everywhere, that's another sign of Anubis. Bones, seeing bones, suddenly having a strange interest in gravitating towards bones. I've got like a skull collection in my room. I like to collect skulls, and that's something that I've done since I was a child. Seeing the Eye of Horus randomly everywhere, wolves and coyotes as well are a sign of Anubis. Now Anubis is a really brilliant deity to work with. I've found that working with Anubis has helped me to transform and change as a person, and it's helped me to face like the shadow aspects of myself, the bits that I don't like, and work on them. I feel like I've got an increased level of confidence since I started working with my Baba. Also, whenever something's going wrong, I tend to vent to him about things. Deities are really good for venting and expressing your problems, and he really has been like a dad type of figure for me. I didn't really know my dad growing up, so when I started working with him, it did kind of help with a kind of Farah type wound that I had. So yeah, he's great, he's brilliant. He's also got a wicked sense of humour, and he really makes me laugh. So if you decide to go forth and work with Anubis, some really good offerings that you could put in your altar or little box is obsidian, black tourmaline, abedonite, andesite, agate geodes, purified palm wood, dragonite, agate, gothalite, bankite, bread, dark chocolate, red wine, hematite, howlite, onyx, selenite, sodalite, tiger iron, beer, almonds and honey. So I hope you have all enjoyed this video today, my spooky children. It's been a bit of a long one, but my Baba deserves a long video about him as a sign of my devotion, just because he is the first ever deity that I ever worked with, and he's always been there, and I'm very grateful for everything that he has done for me. So that is everything for me today, my spooky children. I hope you have enjoyed this video today, and goodbye.